Good morning. Happy New Year. It's a joy to be here in this very beautiful singing today. Thank you. And the reading is so special. We actually are kind of combining the 2 weeks, but this week's topic is, did God create the universe or become it? And if He created, that would put God separate from His manifestation. God became. His joy became the universe. And is underlying everything. That love is underlying everything. That light, that Om. Just like the wave is not really apart from the ocean. It has an individual sense or moment, but then it's definitely a part of the ocean. The rays of the sun are part of the sun. Master said one time he was looking out in nature, and some of the devotees were there, and he said, "You're so beautiful. Everything is so beautiful." When you can see with spiritual vision, when you can see as God has manifested everything and has become everything, including us, when we can see ourselves, the vision of God, and see through the light, the spiritual eye, we begin to feel and see God as everything manifested in everything and in everyone. The Master said, "You don't know how beautiful you are." And people think, "Oh, I have this problem, I have this delusion," or whatever. But in God's light, everything is shimmering, is vibrating, is filled with light, is filled with joy, and that's within all of us as well. But it becomes distorted, it becomes blocked by desires or attachments or worldly pulls. And Yoganandaji had a beautiful vision once of the Divine Mother, where it was at a Christmas meditation, and he saw a womanly, beautiful image, and he said that was the Mother Divine, the Mother of the universe, and he spoke to her, and he was weeping in joy for the vision that he saw of her, and Swamiji said they could hear one side of the conversation because Master was talking to her. And then at a certain point he said, "Oh, you're so beautiful, don't go, please, don't go." And she began to vanish. And he said, "Oh, you say the worldly desires of these people are pushing you away. Please don't go." And this is how it is in our lives. The pure consciousness of God, the pure light, the vibration, the sound, the inspiration, the joy, the love, it's ever there, pure. God became all of that, and that's within us as well. But just like yesterday, the sun came out. I think everybody was happy. I sat in the sun for hours. It was undistorted. There were no clouds. It was just pure sunlight. And this is how it is when we can connect or attune to God as pure essence, the pure spirit, pure consciousness behind everything. Then we will feel that His bliss, His joy, everything within us. I was remembering a story of one of Master's relatives, Mira. We visited Calcutta and Serampore just last week, and she was a very, very high soul. It was Master's brother's son's wife, Mirama. Very, very holy person, and we would visit there different times. And she said at one time, we were asking her about seeing through the spiritual eye and what she saw, and particularly after some practices that those who know Kriya would know what I mean. So after your meditation practice, you look here at the spiritual eye deeply. And we were asking questions. Oh, some people don't see anything, some people see something, but it's not clear, and some things are vague. And we said, "But do you see anything?" And I think she was elderly, very elderly at the time, and just pure Divine Mother. And she said, "Oh yes, I see Swami Sri Teswarji floating by. Larry Mahashayaji floats by, Babaji, Master. I see them all in the spiritual eye. They're there." And this is, if we can remove the blockages of tendencies, desires, things we want, things we crave, things that pull us outward, then the vision of God, vision of the Masters, like with this beautiful reading, the saints and the Masters, they're just there all the time. The light is there all the time. Master, he had the Om vibration just loudly in him, vibrating all the time, and that sound. And he would sometimes put his ear to Dr. Lewis's ear, because Dr. Lewis said, "I'm not hearing anything." And Master said, "Just come over here," ear to ear, and the Om would boom into his disciple's ear, because it was so present within Yoganandaji. Of course, he showed his disciples the light by just pressing his forehead, Dr. Lewis again, to his forehead, and showing them that these things are always there. And we visited Rai Ghat just last week too, and that's where Babaji and his disciples we stood under that banyan tree. I hope you all have seen the pictures, and that's a holy place. And Swami Sri Teswarji found him there, and he was just so overwhelmed. I mean, you can imagine. And he said, "Oh, please wait, I'm just going to go get some prasad and I'll come back." And he went and he came back and he found they were gone. And he was discouraged and bothered by that, you can imagine. And so he said he was upset, and he said, "Even if I see him again, I'm not going to say anything to him." Can you imagine? Yeah. It was just, you can imagine how he felt. So he saw him, well, he went to Larry Mahashaya's a little while later, and maybe a month or two, and Larry Mahashaya said to Swami Sri Teswarji, he said, "Did you see Babaji there at the entrance?" And he said, "No, I didn't see anybody." And so Larry Mahashaya touched him, and he said he saw Babaji just there at the threshold of the door, just blossoming like a lotus. Babaji was just there, and Babaji said to Swami Sri Teswarji, I don't know if he was, yes, he was Swami by then, because he made him a Swami, but he said, "You must meditate more. Your gaze is not yet faultless. You didn't see me hiding behind the sunbeams." We must miss many masters. We don't see them. We don't even feel them. He said, "You didn't see me." And then he didn't even want to bow. He's still hurt. So Larry Mahashaya looks at him like, "Are you crazy? Bow down, it's Babaji." So he finally bows, but he said, "You must meditate more. I think we should take this into the new year. We must meditate more." And these things are there. But also there, if there's purity, there can't be, there was a man who was at Mount Washington with Swamiji. When Swamiji was there, he meditated, I think it was 40 hours straight, or some really amazing number of hours. And afterwards he was upset because nothing happened. Divine Mother didn't come to me, and he said, I'm leaving. I didn't come here to rake leaves or whatever the other jobs. I came here to meditate. He left, and that was it for him. But if there's openness and receptivity, God can come. I heard something from Swamiji just yesterday on a talk. It was a very interesting point. He said, if you're not flexible, you will never find God. I went, wow, that's a good statement. He said, you can't be rigid and closed. He said, you can't experience God, who is all joy, who is all light, who is all bliss, who is all love. That there has to be a sweetness. And he told this, he said, Master would tell them this. He would call people psychological antiques if they got to be too rigid and rule-bound. And he said, don't become a psychological antique. And then he said that people would, he gave this example, that people would go try to get through the pearly gates in heaven when they leave this earth. And the angels would say, oh no, here comes another psychological antique. We gotta send them back. They have to go back until they learn how to be open and childlike. And we were with the daughter of Tulsi Bose, Master's boyhood friend, and Hashi Mukherjee. And I have to say that just sitting with her was so joyful. It didn't matter what she said, just being in her presence, you just felt just a welling up of joy. You just felt so happy. She has the right name, Hashi. You have laughter, joy. And she told so many sweet stories. But it was more the divine way she told them. And she said one that Master, when he was a boy, he was looking for a place to meditate more. And we also went to Master's home, Forgarpar Road, and meditated. We went to various places, Raigat Lane, and we also went to where Swami Sri Teswarji's home was. But she said that Master he prayed to Divine Mother. He always talked to God. I don't know why people don't talk to God anymore. God must be lonely. Who talks to God? Everybody talks to each other. An SMS, phone, all the time. Who's talking to God? He talked to God, and he said, I want a place where I can meditate more. So Divine Mother said, you go to this place. I think she was saying Lady Park. I couldn't really make it out, but some of the things she was saying, I didn't even understand it, but I just was so happy to sit there. It didn't matter. She said that Divine Mother told Master to go to this particular place, and he would find this boy sitting on a bench. And she said, that's going to be your friend. So he went and he saw the boy, and he says, your name, Tulsi? Tulsi, was it? Your name, Mukunda? And he said, yes, I'm Mukunda. He said, I'm going to be your friend. And then Master said, yes. And then Tulsi said, you come to my house. And he says, okay. But he said, first, Master said, first, you're a runner and I'm a runner. We're going to run first. And they raced. And the way she told it was so endearing. And she said she said, my father was very fast, but Master was faster, and he won the race. And then she said, from then on, he stayed at our house so much. And then she told this other very sweet story, said that I never knew who all these people were on our God's Bodhman book. So we had this because we had discipleship initiation. I just happened to have the book there. And I was asking about her mother and her father and her relatives, and she took the book and she said, "That's my mother and that's my father. These are Master's sisters and other relatives." She named them all. Someone wrote it down. But she said, it was so sweet. She said, "Here, that's my mother, that's my father." And she said, "And I'm in there." She said, "My mother was pregnant and that's me." I said, "So you're in the womb?" She says, "Yes, that's me." And it was just so sweet. You know, it was no pretension, no, I am, you know, the daughter of, and then she said, Master called her once from the United States, and this is how he was. He wasn't a low, "I tell you now," and it was just very natural. And she said, he called me, and I said, "All the way from the United States?" I mean, this was when he was living there up to 1952, and she said, "Yes, he called me," and he says, "Hashi, how are you?" And she says, "I am fine." And she said, "But I was so scared, I was shaking." Because, you know, she was just in awe of him as well. And then she said that her mother's name was Martan Ma, and that she was cooking for Master, and it was cold in the house, and she said, and Master would come, he'd have an apple, and every time he ate half, he gave her half. No matter where he ate half, he gave her half. And then she was cold while she was in the kitchen, so he took his own shawl and he wrapped it around her. And you know, she just said he just did many wonderful things like that, and it was very sweet. Just you can see the devotion and the love she had for him. And then there were several more. I'll tell you one in the end there, but just very dear, you could tell. She's just very open, and God could flow through. And that's what I learned the most, is just that openness and sweetness and childlikeness just lifts you up to spirit. And you know, and around that house, there were, in the room we were in, which is the sitting room, now upstairs in the meditation room were all the holy relics, and this was the other thing. I mean, there was a trident that Babaji gave to Lahiri Mahashaya, who gave it to Swami Sri Teswarji, who gave it to Master, and this room full of holy things. And then there are 2 beds upstairs, and I asked her, I said, "Now just tell us about those beds." And she said, "Yes, a Master, Swami Sri Teswarji bought him a bed, and it was kind of a small bed, and he said, but Master was big." He said he couldn't fit in the bed anymore. I just loved it. And so she got him a bigger bed. But both of those beds are just there, and just the vibrations just fill the whole house. And then around in the sitting room, around the walls are all these pictures of holy people. And I said, "Well, who all came to this house?" And he said, "Everybody came. Swami Sri Teswarji came. Lahiri Mahashaya came." She said, "Lahiri Mahashaya came when my father was like really small, you know, really young." And she said, "Ananda Ma came. I cooked khichari for Ananda Ma, and then she blessed my son, and then Vivekananda came, and Kevalananda came, and she went on with the list. Lahiri Mahashaya, I said, and Swami Sri Teswarji, Master, of course. It's just lined with all these great souls, and the walls, and she said, Master and my father once, now Devendra, correct me if I'm wrong on this story, but she said one day they were meditating in the Satsang room, the living room there, and there was a statue of Ma Kali on the altar. We also saw a statue of Kali Ma at Ananta's home that Master gave to that family. I mean, these are real relics. But anyway, she said they were meditating and they were praying and praying and praying with so much devotion that the statue of Ma Kali came to life. And she said she was looking in the window, or she was spying. She said she saw that, but also she saw that they were levitating, Master and Tulsi Bose. And I think that must have happened often. It wasn't all once. So they were just... so beautiful. Guruji said, when he found God, he said to Divine Mother, why did it take so long? I prayed and prayed. I remember the other day I woke up and I said out loud to the Master, I said, I don't want to come back here unless I really have to. And that's the devotee's prayer. And Master asked Divine Mother, why did it take so long? I tried and tried, I prayed and prayed. And her response was so simple. There were some desires left that had to be fulfilled. Let's fulfill them, or get rid of them, or burn them with Kriya, or whatever we get out of them, so that we can be fully in God consciousness when we leave this earth, never to have to come back again. Yanamata, these are all souls that lived in the light, and when she left her body, Master came to her just before, do you remember? And he said, do you have any desires left? And she says, no, Master, I don't have any desires. And he asked her 3 times. He said, do you have any desires? I will fulfill them now. And she says, no, Guruji, I don't have any desires. He asked her 3rd time, do you have, no, Master, I don't have any desires. And she says, well, I want to go and, maybe I could go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And she says, you don't need that. I already see you with God fully, completely, in spirit. And he had to go away because anyone close to him, he wasn't there when they passed away. And she went out through the top of the head. A great soul who doesn't, not a great soul, one who's liberated, leaves out of the Saraswati chakra. One who has meditated deeply and given their life to God the best way they could, but meditated deeply, Master said, you can go out through the spiritual eye. Or there's always the medulla. We don't want to go out through the medulla. You always can be booted out through the medulla. But we look here, so at the moment of passing, or you can go. So when Master came back, he had the disciples. He said, now you feel her feet and see what you feel. Like they were like ice. He said, now come put your hand on her top of her head. And it was so hot, it was burning up. He said, this shows she went out to the top of the head, the highest center, Saraswati chakra, never to have to come back again. If we can become one with God, His consciousness, His light, His joy, every day, Master said, read the poem or listen to or read a line from Samadhi and just feel that's who I am, that's what I am, that's where I'm going, and feel free in God right now. God bless you all.